walks in. First thing you say to him is, we're getting rid of the pass interference rule. There will be no more challenges when it comes to that pass interference rule. Because that thing is awful. Seriously, that is a joke. Because if you look at the percentage, only 12% of these pass interference calls have actually gone in the way of the coach who challenges the pass interference. So that is right there. They should get rid of this rule because it was because of one fan base that went on every single national sports radio show, every single Twitter page possible, and told the NFL, oh, you got to make this different rule. You just screwed us and everything. Are you kidding me? I've lost track how many times as a Packer fan I have watched my Packers get screwed, okay? I mean, the Packers got screwed on 2 roughing the passer penalties on Clay Matthews last year. The Hail Mary, we already know about. We've known about egregious calls. It's happened over the years. I mean, geez, people still keep talking about Mike Renfro in the 1979 AFC Championship game, Houston Oilers versus the Pittsburgh Steelers, and everybody keeps talking about how, his both feet were in bounds. That should have been a catch. But the thing is that you can't just change the rule when it's something like this, and especially when you continue to put in more jargon, more dialogue into this, it doesn't make any more sense. It just makes it more convoluted to the point where you feel like you're in the movie Inception.
Well, how many times have the Detroit Lions been on the wrong end of these calls? The Calvin Johnson rule. We have more rules named after us than anything else, and we made it to a stupid Super Bowl. The Lions have been snake bitten by a lot of bad calls. What about that play against the Dallas Cowboys a few years back? I never rooted for the Green Bay Packers as hard as I did then because the Cowboys didn't deserve to get past the Lions. But with all due respect, the Lions have been on the wrong end of a lot of the calls, and they continue to be. So, but that's either here or there. I just think the reality is there's a lot of work to do in any way that you can go ahead and look at other places. I mean, think about baseball. They use the independent league and all these other things to experiment with rule changes before they ultimately bring them to the big show. You're going to have to see a lot more of it in action. The Arizona Fall League, they'll use that to come up with different rules or how they would work in real-time action. And then you determine how they fit, if they fit, when they fit. So.
Yeah, and you talk about that for a moment. I'm glad you brought up baseball because there was a little bit of talk during the winter meetings. Joe Maddon's there, Terry Francona, Joe Girardi are all a little annoyed by this new rule that Major League Baseball passed. They kind of slipped one, between the goalie here. And this rule to me is stupid. Okay? This is like the equivalent of a pass interference rule. Because, the rule is in Major League Baseball in 2020, they passed a rule that is relief pitchers have to take on at least 3 batters at minimum before a manager can come out to the mound and relieve them. Okay. Here's my problem with that. Baseball has been going on since the 1890s. There's never been a rule like this in 40 years. Why all of a sudden is Rob Manfred doing this? Okay, this makes no sense. This takes out the strategic part of baseball. Okay? Because we're used to, having guys come out there, okay, I got a righty out there, okay, I got to bring up my righty, and I got to face up. Okay, one batter, okay, that's good. All right, let's bring in my next guy. I mean, the game of strategy now is being taken away from baseball, which what makes baseball what it is. You see it in Little League, you see it in high school, you see it in college, and then it goes into the professional. What are you saying to now that going forward with this stupid rule? Because now you're telling guys out there like Kenley Jansen, for example, hey, you're going to be my 8th inning guy, but wait. I can't take you out until you get to the first 3 batters. Once you do that, then I can get rid of you. But it takes away the strategy. It takes away that chess match opportunity for managers. This is stupid.
Yeah, you're right with a lot of things that you said, but here's what I'm thinking, okay?
Okay.
You are taking the strategy out to a large degree because of the matchup part of it. But once upon a time, though, there were 2 or 3 inning closers, and that wouldn't, from that standpoint, while we may not be getting anywhere near that, relievers face multiple hitters is what they did do, Jake. Up
Mm-hmm.
until specialty became more prominent with what we're doing compared to the past. Don't sit here and tell Raleigh Fingers, Goose Gossage, and many other pitchers, okay, that the three batter rule is a big deal. It really isn't. It might even, in some respect, save your pitchers uh, because instead of burning them out, getting them to throw more warm up pitches, to come in for one. I think about it this way: you could be saving bullpens a little bit too by doing it. So there's a lot of different ways that you scrutinize a rule. Yes, I'll give you okay, Jake, the strategy part. That's the purity and the traditional side of baseball. But this is one of those rule change where I could almost, to some extent, see it both ways. Do I like tinkering with strategy? No. Do I love the chess game and the beauty of baseball? Yes. No questions about it. Exclamation point 9 million times. Fine. But remember, okay, I grew up in an era myself, okay, where relievers were brought in for more than anywhere between 1 and 3 innings. Therefore, it could save your pitching staff. You follow me?
I do understand that, but that's the great thing about the strategy aspect of baseball is that you get that upper hand. I mean, and sometimes that's what just happens. I mean, Bruce Bochy, the same year he retires. I just read this on USA Today. It's the same year that Bruce Bochy. I mean, I go back to the times when he was in the postseason. He used 5 different relievers to win a game. I mean, we go back to that story with Madison Bumgarner, for crying out loud. Game 7, 2014 World Series, and he has to play the entire play the last couple of innings here. But like I said, it just, how are you as a manager supposed to try and up the other one? Because that's the aspect of baseball that works. That's when you get that praise. That's when you wake up the next morning and go, man, did you see what Joe Madden did last night? He brought in one pitcher, and then he just needed one out. He got him out, and then brought in another reliever, pulled it out, closed the game. That was exciting to us. Now you're creating stoppage again. You're creating a problem, and now managers have to overthink everything now going forward. Like I said, I'm with Francona, Madden, and Girardi, all who have won World Series rings, not being in agreement with this.
Well, again, you brought up an interesting word, overthink. I think baseball has always been a sport beyond what these rule changes are, that you can overthink and second guess more in this sport than you can any, Jake. I mean, think about it for a minute. You can. It's a thinking man's game. Don't forget, okay, Jake, that there is no clock in baseball than there is with the other sports. There is a clock. So that means games could go on anywhere between 3, 5, 6 hours until you decide a winner. Okay. Now, if you ever come on this program and say that you're in favor of starting a man at second base, okay, that's changing the strategy. Then you and I could definitely have a pretty good discussion on that one. That one, I don't think ever gets the big show. I have no problem reducing mound visits from 6 down to 4 or whatever. No big deal. Talking to dugout, for crying out loud. Not a big deal. I mean, they're trying to make sure that the average fan doesn't get bored anyhow. And when you look at it this way, do you think a fan wants to be sitting in a place for 5 or 6 hours? They'll be sucked into spending more money on merchandise and overpriced food and all that, which go beyond hot dogs, ballpark franks, whatever, peanuts and Cracker Jack. That's great. Let's all stuff the belly. Now, not trying to get off topic, but, again, when you do tinker with a game where there's a lot of strategy, will there be a lot of scrutiny? You better believe there will. We both know that. Okay, that is a given. Yeah, and there are a lot of managers that resist change. I don't care what sport you're in, they're going to resist it. But what happens? You ultimately go ahead and acclimate. Let me give you another key point. Okay, when the three-point shot was introduced in basketball, college or pros, they didn't like it, but you can't change it, so you better get shooters, right, Jake? Or you're going to be behind the 8 ball. So sometimes no manager, coach, whatever, likes change, but whether they like it or not, they must acclimate to it, and they do.
And I know they will, but let's be honest here. I mean, with some of the, you got to be welcome to change, but the change actually has to work. So like the NFL with the pass interference rule, it didn't work, so now we got to change that up. Now baseball's trying to change up this aspect of the game. And then, the NBA, you talk about the shooters here, for example. I got news for you. The NBA ratings are down because of this new aspect of trying to bring up offense as, the king right now. Nobody wants to watch it anymore
No,
because
no,
nobody wants to watch 150 to 107. I mean, yesterday, for crying out loud, the Bulls, who were an 8-win team, won 132 to 104 over the Atlanta Hawks. That was their big matchup last night. Or I think ESPN had the Bucks and the Pelicans and all this kind of stuff. I mean, trying to make more offense does not really create ratings gold. It actually creates more problems, and people tune out.
Jake. You know the reason why the ratings are really down? I disagree
Go
with
for
you
it.
on this 100%. Totally disagree
All
with you
right.
on this 100%. The reason that the NBA ratings are down is, you know what my nickname of the NBA is?
What?
The NDL.
NDL.
Yeah, you can use that on your future shows.
What's
National
the NDL?
National Drama League. Nobody gives a damn about the things that go ahead and they don't. They don't care about drama, buddy. They care about basketball. You follow me? They don't care about all this extra drama. Nobody really cares. The National Drama League. Take that to the bank. Hashtag it from Anchor all the way to wherever you're going to do it. National Drama League. Nobody cares about what these people got to say on the court. Another thing they don't. Another reason why they're down is nobody cares about these so-called dream teams that you have. Nobody, frankly, cares about what they are. You want competitive balance across the board. You follow me?
Parity.
And so the NBA's problems go long beyond the high scoring of affairs. I'll tell you, you're talking about a guy that was brought up with the Bad Boys era. I liked it when it got physical. I really did.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a
You're
great
talking
time
about
of
Bulls
basketball.
Pistons, man.
Well, that and along with the other teams that played physical. Nobody cares about a jump shooters league, but the real reason, because that's really what this has come down to, and maybe a handful of superstars that want to play with each other because they don't realize building a team. They want to take the easy way to ring is pair yourself with somebody else. Guys like LeBron James, for as good as they are with this league, they're sometimes bad for it. Do you think the decision did the NBA a lot of justice? Do you think Kevin Durant going over to the Warriors did the NBA justice? No, don't get me wrong. These guys are free agents, okay, and they had every right to make uproot themselves and make a lot more money and find a new challenge. I'm not downplaying that, but nobody, frankly, cares about drama. That's the reason why. When you have networks like ESPN, I always wondered, Entertainment Sports Programming Network. It could have fooled me. I thought it was the Entertainment Basketball Programming Network because you got Stephen A. Smith screaming from here all the way to Mount Everest about how much he loves basketball. But I wonder what Stephen A. Smith knows even about hockey. Probably nothing. Okay, and a lot of the other sports.
About as much as boxing. About as much as boxing.
Yeah, right.
Much,
well, that's the only time Max Kellerman ever gets anything, but that'll be for another day. But the reason
right, and that's kind of funny you brought that up. A friend of mine who does play-by-play for boxing, he does Showtime, Fox Sports 1, all that stuff. He went off on Stephen A. Smith one night about boxing because, a lot of people say, hey, you fake it till you make it. Well, sometimes some of these sports personalities are faking it as they made it. And, I understand what you're saying, but the problem I have with the NBA the most is that it's the lack of star power and, like you said, the competitive balance. I said this last year. I said it the year before. I said that the best time of the year for hockey is their playoffs. Their postseason is the most exciting sporting event since the Super Bowl.
Right.
Because you don't know what you're going to get. They could come out one night and win 6-1. Then the other team will come rare shot and beat you 4-0, and then bam, we got Game 7 hitting up here. I mean, man, that Blues Stars game in Game 7 last year was unbelievable.
Right.
I was on the edge of my seat, and the final score was 2-1.
Right.
And that's the thing is, I mean, and you talk about the referees here for a moment. I'll go back to that in a second here, but when was the last time we had a conversation about hockey having bad refereeing? They only have like one or two bad calls that make headlines. The NFL is getting a lot of them here. The NBA is getting. I mean, you talk about the national